See, I can do object lessons. If I can, yeah.
Hey, we're live.
Hey, we are live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me turn a flower. There we go.
There.
Now there's a flower.
Flower.
And there's the other bud is also there. You just can't really...
Yeah.
You
Well,
can't see it on the camera. There's
There's a bud there and a bud there. They're little.
February. Yeah, that one's growing. I don't think that one's going to actually turn.
I don't know that it is. I
But-
don't know if it's growing, but as long as that one took, it might.
That's
It's
true.
just a slow process.
It is February the 2nd.
Yes.
It is Groundhog Day. So go eat some sausage and have some groundhog. Allegedly, Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, and therefore we will have 6 more weeks of winter.
Saw his shadow before dawn on a cloudy day. Is that what it was?
Something like that.
He's a pretty amazing groundhog.
As Todd Jacobian put on social media yesterday, there are science. There's you can trust weather people, you can trust the groundhog. One of them is prone to ticks and fleas, one is not, and I believe that Todd is suggesting that he and Melinda Mayo are not susceptible to prone to ticks and fleas, and so therefore should be considered more trustworthy on the weather.
Not too sure about James Bryant, but
It's hard to be sure about James Bryant. He went to Mississippi State.
And he doesn't like the cold or snow. He doesn't want snow. So,
This is true. So anyway, that's Groundhog Day. I will probably never quite understand how that quirky local superstition has become something that is nationwide.
It's
talked
on
about.
the calendar as a holiday. I mean,
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't either.
I mean, we've gone from celebrating both President Washington's birthday and President Lincoln's birthday to having this amorphous blob of President's Day where we celebrate all the presidents,
Because
including
we had too many holidays.
like William Henry Harrison, who spoke for so long at his inauguration that he got pneumonia and died and didn't actually, he never really did anything. But he gets counted in President's Day. And yet the groundhog, something like that. It's not like they closed the banks for the groundhog or stopped the mail for the groundhog.
That is helpful.
That's
they don't do
helpful. But seriously, people. I mean, you might as well have the day that you cut the persimmons open to see if they got spoons to tell whether or not you're going to have a winter. Anyway, just humbug. Groundhog Day, a humbug? Surely you don't mean that. Yes, I do.
And
don't call me Shirley. Let's get started.
That's probably a really good idea.
Probably 2 minutes too late. Meet me, O Christ, in this stillness of morning. Move me, O Spirit, to quiet my heart. Mend me, O Father, from yesterday's harms, from the discords of yesterday, from the weariness of yesterday. Resurrect my love. Let me enter this new day, aware of my need, and awake to your grace, O Lord. Amen.
Amen. Got it?
I don't think so. Stuff it over there. So it's Tuesday.
Yes,
We talk about work.
we do.
I was going to talk about having to do the same thing over and over and over again in an homage to the Bill Murray
that's a good
Groundhog
idea.
Day movie. But you have a better idea inspired by The Flower. So let's go with your
We can do
idea.
the flower next week.
No. Let's do The Flower today.
Okay.
Because mine sounds a little grumpy and The Flower is cheerful. We'll summarize mine briefly. Sometimes you have to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And that's just the way it goes. Moving on.
Well, and that does kind of lead into... Okay, so here's the story of the cactus, real quick. This is a cutting from my grandmother's cactus that a few years after Grandma passed away, my grandfather followed her, and that Christmas, Mom took a cutting from her Christmas cactus, and it's actually technically a Thanksgiving cactus, but they're all called Christmas cacti, and potted a cutting and gave it to each of us. Well, this poor thing, and I don't know if you can see the bite marks on some of these leaves, but this poor thing was subsequently uprooted and dragged through the house multiple times by the cat.
Before she was referred to as Zacchaeus, climber of trees, she was also Floofy, slayer of cacti.
She was. And it was very, very difficult for us to find a place. We finally had to give up on putting the poor cactus in a place where it would get sufficient light, and just had to protect it from the cat. So it hasn't gotten, they don't need direct light, but they need some light. And so we'd kind of given up on that, and then finally a little bit of rearranging was able to put the cactus in a place where it was both safe and could get light, and we got grow lights that work too. And so about a month ago, I noticed a teeny tiny bump on the end of one of these leaves that looked different from the development of a new leaf. And there's a bump in that one too. I don't know if it's a new leaf or another bud, but anyway, it's
because it's too much, it won't be anything.
Yeah, I'm just rubbing it. But so this bud has gone from teeny tiny to today is the first day it started to open.
Can we zoom in on it?
I don't know. Can you
I
zoom
don't know
in
if
more?
I can zoom in on it or not. I can
I
try.
don't think you can zoom in anymore.
I don't know that it'll resolve.
I don't know that it will. So anyway,
Okay.
it's just starting to open today. It's been growing and growing, and it's been beautiful. But now it's actually the bottom petals are starting to open. But I was just thinking about how much work was going into all of this.
It's called. It's the genus of cacti is the Schlumbergera.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay. Typically, the Thanksgiving variety of the Christmas cactus is the one that tends to open earlier, anywhere from usually November through January. So this is a little late for this one, but obviously it has had some challenges in its life, and that's why it's running a little on the late side. But anyway, so the thought was...
it's the Schlumbergera truncata.
Okay.
You can
Schlumbergera
see the
truncata.
leaf line out.
Yes. It's the pointy, see these points?
Yes.
That's how I knew it was a Thanksgiving leaf, Thanksgiving cactus, instead of a true Christmas cactus.
Anyway, all right.
Anyway.
So yes,
So, the thought was, it took a long time.
it did.
We've been watching it for a month. And for a plant blooming, it's one thing, well, I mean, even trees a lot of times will bloom overnight.
Yeah.
You'll see the little bitty buds, and then all of a sudden you'll see flowers. A month is a really, really long time for a small plant to grow a flower. And I think just the thought of sometimes our work seems to take forever, and it seems that we are doing the same thing over and over and over again, and we're barely seeing progress. But it's worth it. Because we do get to that point. But sometimes the best things, I think, things that are done and bloom quickly, they're also quickly forgotten. I think the effort and the work that we put into things that take a long time, a lot of times those are the ones that shape us and that help us become who we are. And so the long effort of work is worth it.
That's there's an old saying, and it goes with a sermon illustration, but we'll just cut to the punchline, and it's when God wants to make an oak, He takes 40 years, but if He wants to make a squash, He spends 4 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like squash, so I'll definitely go with the oak.
You don't build a whole lot of houses out of squash.
No.
I mean, let's just be honest here. And that's that. I think that's a case is that we work through educational processes.
Right.
It would be relevant to our slow internet.
We're moving slowly again.
So,
Surprise, surprise.
so yeah, maybe today's the day that it just gets a little bit closer to it.
Well, and it could be that today's the day that you see it's actually pink instead of green, so it's actually a flower instead of another leaf. Which, another leaf is cool too, because the fact that, we have several healthy leaves that have grown up out of these chewed up leaves is pretty exciting to me, because they are really chewed up.
They really are. And we had the one cat who, she wouldn't actually even really eat it. She would just grab it in her mouth and run off with it, and then leave it someplace else in the house. And then the other cat would
found
chew it.
We finally got it in a safe place from Floofy Cat. And then we got Monty, and he got big enough to climb, and he found it.
Yes.
And so then we had to move it again.
Yes.
He likes plants of all kinds.
Yes, he does.
I have a little tree that I'm trying to nurse back to life, and he likes that one too. It is also under a grow light because it can't be put by a window either.
We even tried it in a hanging basket by the window, and the cat launched himself to it.
He's so long! He can almost reach it from the windowsill.
He launched himself and would catch it and hang on to it. And if I hadn't been so concerned that he was going to destroy the ceiling because of the added weight on the hanging basket, I'd have taken time to video the thing. It was hilarious. However, anyway.
So as soon as it's warm enough again, the tree will go back outside.
Yes. So yeah, keep at it today and keep up with it, and stuff pays off in the long run, and sometimes it pays off simply in survival.
Yes.
There were a lot of days of just survival for this plant.
Yes.
And then there were days of growth, and then there were days of more growth, and now there are days of flowering, and we have those changes and those shifts, and they come when they come. They don't always come when you expect them to come. Oftentimes they come late.
Yes. Well, like this flower.
This should be this should have either Thanksgiving came wrong or the flower's wrong. So, given that the flower's name is not Audrey, I'm not going to argue. I'll put the blame on the flower. But there's there's some things to pay attention to. There's lessons to be learned, and this is part of life. And this is part of, really, I would say, life with your eyes open to what God is doing, is paying attention to what are things that God's given us that help illustrate the truths that we live out. I mean, what we've talked about is something that's true whether you have the plant or not. It's just helpful to have the plant to visualize it.
Well,
see it.
that's actually how I really put things together sometimes, is by having visual illustrations. That's the way my brain works. So yeah, having the flower.
She's the one member of the family whose brain actually works.
No, I wouldn't say that.
The rest of us, our brains have gone on a holiday.
Holiday?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure mine started sailing for the center of the earth about 2 years ago.
Sailed for the center of the earth, huh?
Yeah. I mean, he had to go 20,000 leagues under the sea, but he still hasn't come back.
Jules. Anyway.
Sorry.
Time to wrap this up, I think.
Probably so, since we're headed
About 2 minutes too late now.
Nice.
We started 2 minutes late, we're quitting 2 minutes late. It's like an average sermon. We start too late, we go on too long. Moving
It's
on.
okay, son. You're bringing us laughter, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Even from the center of the earth.
Sounds good. You should read the Bible so that
I
we
should.
can stop.
What, 21 to...
21 to 31 is what?
Okay, so to the end of the chapter. All right, Isaiah 40, starting verse 21. Do you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been declared to you from the beginning? Have you not considered the foundations of the earth? God is enthroned above the circle of the earth. Its inhabitants are like grasshoppers. He stretches out the heavens like thin cloth and spreads them out like a tent to live in. He reduces princes to nothing and makes judges of the earth like a wasteland. They are barely planted, barely sown. Their stem hardly takes root in the ground. When he blows on them and they wither, and a whirlwind carries them away like stubble. To whom will you compare me, or who is my equal? Asked the Holy One. Look up and see. Who created these? He brings out the stars by number. He calls them, all of them, by name. Because of his great power and strength, not one of them is missing. Jacob, why do you say, and Israel, why do you assert, my way is hidden from the Lord, and my claim is ignored by God? Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the whole earth. He never faints. He never becomes faint or weary. There is no limit to his understanding. He gives strength to the faint and strengthens the powerless. Youths may become faint and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not become weary. They will walk and not faint. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today and for the blessing of a new day. Thank you for examples from your creation like the plant.
Well, I don't know if that'll.
Ah.
Now we are resumed. Now we will
Now
disconnect.
we will disconnect. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.